A new draft agreement at the UN climate conference in Dubai waters down possible action on limiting global warming. The text does not directly mention phasing out fossil fuels, for example, and that appears to be the main stumbling block. The draft calls instead for reducing consumption of fossil fuels. A climate activist today stormed onto the stage in protest. Some participants, including the European Union and the U.S., have rejected the provisional agreement as not going far enough. The COP28 talks are due to wind down in just the next few hours. Our correspondent, Leonie van Hammerstein, who is following the summit in Dubai, shared with me her takeaways from this draft deal.
Well, what jumps to mind, and you mentioned it, are the words and the phrases that aren't in the draft. An analyst put it very aptly when he said, the word phase out has been phased out, because what isn't included in the text is a phase out of fossil fuels or even a phase down. The word oil or natural gas are not even mentioned in the text. A coal phase out is optional as it stands in the draft text right now. And there is a reference, you mentioned it, to reducing fossil fuel consumption and production, but the urgency, the sense of urgency in how that paragraph is framed is lacking. And in order to keep the 1.5 degree target still in sight, which is the main purpose of this document, and the science has been pretty clear about it. I mean, what we do see, what is mentioned in the text, the 1.5 degree target is mentioned in the text. There are commitments on finance support mechanisms, but there too, they're kind of chaotically scattered across the text. So it remains pretty vague, pretty weak.
And as you say, the criticism has been open, has been vocal. There's also been protests today, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, exactly. There has been a really strong pushback by climate activists, by NGOs, slamming the text as a scandal, calling it a scandal. There has been a protest outside of the plenary hall by activists holding up placards saying, "Hold the line," calling on their governments to basically keep negotiating, to keep the fossil fuel phase out really on the table here in Dubai. Colombia's environment minister has said that the real winners here are the fossil fuel capital interests. The EU has come out to say that the text in part is unacceptable, it's insufficient. Germany's foreign minister has said that it sends the world the wrong signals, that the world still has a place for fossil fuels in the future. So I feel like everybody agrees, there is a lot of work to be done still. the host of the COP, president of the COP, Al Jaber, has called it an important step forward, but he also very notably skipped a press conference to head straight back into meetings with delegates. We don't expect this to continue, to finish on time.
Yeah, to finish on time, I was going to ask you, there are only a few hours left in this summit, so if we don't get an agreement, what are they going to do? Go into overtime? I mean, they can't just agree to disagree, can they?
No, these texts have to be adopted by consensus, but there are still a few hours left. And as you know, historically, these UN climate summits usually go into overtime. The last time a summit finished on time was almost 20 years ago. Sultan Al Jaber has repeated time and again that he wants to make it a historic summit, that he wants to finish on time. But with this draft text and all sides, especially also the most climate vulnerable countries and the blocs that really support a strong fossil fuel phase out, have made it clear that they won't accept this kind of draft. So there will be more negotiations.
Yeah, it could be a very, very late night for everyone. DW's Leonie van Hammerstein reporting from the climate summit in Dubai. Leonie, thank you.